the background music run for a little bit. Although, it depends if people are gonna show up, but regardless. Okay.
Always.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Bites. If you're listening to this live, literally only a couple of hours have passed. Whereas, if you're an audio listener, I'm gonna space it out. I'm gonna space it out when this is gonna get released, so don't worry. But the TwitchCon conversation chat continue because for this episode I am with SpeakingLion.
Ayo. That's where I'm at. Emotionally, we're at an AO today.
Okay. Oh no.
It's a good place to be. It's okay. There are much worse places.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of day, huh? Already?
It's been good. It's just, I think recovering from cons in general, it's just con season is a little bit exhausting. And so you're running off adrenaline and then the lull and then are you getting sick and then the adrenaline. And so I'm aware I have another con next weekend and then like in a couple weeks after. And so it's like that.
Oh no.
Never fully recovered, but it's great. I mean, I love it. It's just, yeah, I think I'm in a blur from TwitchCon, honestly.
Yeah. Wait, so which con is this weekend? Or this
This is Anime Pasadena, which actually, like Damian Clark and a bunch of the Doctor Who cast and a lot of people are going to be at this year. But it's just a smaller con. I'm in Los Angeles, so it's one of the local ones, and that we haven't hit up yet. And so we're going, but I think we have to do Borderlands if Damian's going to be there, which I'm a little. It's a lot to prep and get into, and it's always harder when it's a local con. But that's this weekend, and then Los Angeles Comic Con is early December, but also BlizzCon is also this weekend. So we were trying to figure out if we could hit up both or what we needed to do. So, because everything just stacks it at the same time.
Yeah, we were talking earlier how I've got a birthday party to go to tomorrow night, and that same friend and I are gonna decide whether or not we want to hit up our local con, Rhode Island Comic Con, this upcoming weekend. We gotta decide.
I say yes.
But then, other than that, like my next con is pretty much PAX East in Boston.
Yes, I love PAX so much. Have you done West?
No, I've never been out to the West Coast, and I'd like to at least want to experience what cons are like on the West Coast.
It's really interesting because I grew up with kind of the opposite experience. Like Dragon Con was my like local con, and so it was massive, right?
Okay.
And so that was always like that, and like San Diego Comic Con, where it was the Hail Mary, right? Like that was the one I really wanted to try to get to. And then when I moved and started going just to more cons, and me and my partner started traveling, I was like, "What do you mean? Like a whole weekend ticket is like $20 if you buy it now?" Like it just like it didn't occur to me that like there are so many different types of cons and local cons because it was always so commercialized with Dragon Con. And so it's been a lot of fun hitting up a lot of the smaller ones, and it makes me want to go back and hit up a lot of the different types of cons that I just didn't know existed when I lived in like Tennessee and Georgia, because there's, Fanboy Expo in Knoxville, and there's MomoCon and all this stuff. In Florida, there were so many cons that I just, didn't really take advantage of while I was there. But I've been West Coast for 10 years now, and it's so refreshing, I think, to see so many still fan-run cons. So, like, we have our mix of kind of corporate and then the ones that are, like, this has been going on for years because these fans make it and run it, and it's, one of the biggest ones in the area, even though it's still a small con.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just smack dab in the New England area, so where I am, if it's not Rhode Island Comic Con, which, I go to at this point for if I know a lot of local cosplay friends are going to be there just to hang out with them and whatnot. But
yeah,
it used to be I go to New York Comic Con a bunch. That was my big con for the year in October, and then I did CaptureCon a couple of times, and I think that's it. I mean, outside of PAX East, and then there's Anime Boston, which I've never done.
Really,
I'm not that into anime. That's my excuse.
Yeah. I see. It's always interesting for me because I had this thought at TwitchCon because I was happy they actually had an artist alley. That's one thing from PAX I'm always missing a little bit. And I was walking through and it was so much anime. And I was like, there's more gaming stuff at anime cons than TwitchCon had with artist alley things. And I'm guessing it's just because like the popularity of what they approved and things like that. So it's, people get to choose what they bring. But I find most of the video game, because I'm mostly video game cosplay. I have some other IPs, but I'm in SAG-AFTRA, so I can't do TV, movie stuff right now. But
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's been
Oh God.
it's been a long few months. But yeah, it's been interesting. But we do a lot of video games, and it's always the anime cons that always throw me off because it's where we're probably most recognized and we get the most interaction. Short of maybe like WonderCon, but that I feel like is a very niche con anyway. Like it's massive, but it's a weird mix of not just comic, even though so many like artists go there. But TwitchCon had a surprising, focus on anime for that. I'm like, are you going for people's interests rather than like, what people game? Because Twitch isn't just gaming, so it's like I don't know. It was a little weird, but anime cons, because I don't know a lot of animes. I just never really grew up with them. They're some of the most fun we go to. Like one of our favorite ones to hit up is Anime Los Angeles at the beginning of January, and it's just a really really fun, chill, still crowded con. And we never do panels or anything, but it's just the vibe of it. Because people just love what they do there, and I think you just see a whole lot of different types of cosplays there, which I really like.
Yeah. Oh, we got someone. I think we have Rye in the chat.
Oh, hey, Rye. Very niche. We just had a whole argument in my stream when I was on earlier about is it pronounced niche or niche? And so I love that he got that.
Oh, God.
Hi, Rye.
So, before we go deep dive into TwitchCon, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself for those who don't know who the hell you are?
Most people. I joke all the time. I'm SpeakingLion. If you know a handsome Jack cosplayer, it may be me somewhere you've seen on the internet from random shit. I'm known mostly for cosplaying video games with my partner Rogue Telepath, who is a master craftsman. She is fantastic at what she does. But we go to a lot of cons. It's about it. I'm a Twitch streamer. I also have a podcast, DLC Required, where gamers just talk about gaming shit. But originally I was an actor screenwriter, still am, but strikes and life and everything going on. And so been on the West Coast for about 10 years pursuing that. And now I'm knee deep in the gaming cosplay world. And it's, we get to do a lot of really cool things, and I'm really grateful for that. But it's mostly a Borderlands niche, but I just debuted like a Lady D from Resident Evil and stuff like that. So some of our more intimate cosplays, like the really smaller fandoms, like we had Until Dawn cosplays for a while that I'm itching to bring back, that just like fandoms that need a little bit more love. And so we're getting to a point where the closer we get to full-time travel for that, we'll be able to bring out a lot of those. So it's what we do together. She's the one who actually dragged me back into cosplay in lockdown. So
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think we just happened to start following each other on Twitter, and then I know we have a mutual, even though I haven't talked with her in a while, but a mutual friend with Jesselyn Cupcake, who is also
I love Jesselyn. Yeah,
Borderlands obsessed like you, with every single variant of Mad Moxie under the sun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the sirens. I say all when there are two. Yeah, so now I'm just curious, why Borderlands? What got you?
Great question. As I have Handsome Jack staring behind me. Honestly, I've always loved gaming. I always been like a creative person. I think growing up in a home that didn't really let like neither me nor my girlfriend had like a lot of like cosplay. Like we would do stuff with friends, and it just our families didn't really get it. So it wasn't like we got to do a lot of stuff young. And so a lot of my creative stuff growing up was I was writing a lot. Like I would come home and write spec scripts, and I would play games. And I joke all the time that the PS2 is owed child support for raising me. But it was a lot of like SSX Tricky and Grand Theft Auto, Simpsons Hit and Run, and Sims. Like it was every type of game. Doom, Resident Evil, Hot Wheels. Like I loved anything I could really get into. And then when I was just in high school, I didn't really have an outlet for that. Like it just didn't really, like the Wii was around, like it just didn't really come out, right? And so when I turned 18, moved out, I was like, I want to get an Xbox. And I got 360 from like GameStop, like one of like pre-owned because I had like no money. And it ended up being one that didn't have Wi-Fi, and so I couldn't like game online or do any of the stuff that I felt like I'd been missing out on. So I got really like knee deep in single player, you know, like BioShock and different stuff like this.
Yeah.
And so I've always had stuff like that floating around, and I had a brief encounter with Borderlands. It sounds so scandalous. I had a brief encounter with Borderlands during those years, but with, you know, kind of the stereotype of acting where you're just like, you know, living with a bunch of people and moving a lot and never really settled. It wasn't like I felt comfortable just like gaming and taking up a space, right? And my PC can't run a lot. So I was doing a lot of indie horror and, you know, different stuff like that for my little laptop I had at the time. And I finally got back into it with Tales from the Borderlands, a Telltale game. And because I could run that, and we had that. And it was one of those things where I felt like I already had like absorbed, like I knew who Jack was, I knew who stuff was, and the world was accessible. But the way Telltale approached that story was so masterful that I had already fallen in love with the entire series before I even went back to any of the shooters. And so that one just kind of, you don't really get to pick your hyperfixations in ADHD neurodivergent land, and it definitely just became one, and kind of ebbed and flowed out of it. And then I joke all the time that my issues, because I'm a writer, when I start writing out anything, I'm just stuck forever. Like that is now a limb in my body that is forever going to be part of me. And I started writing out a Borderlands spec script for like a potential like TV show idea one day. And from then on, it has never left my brain. And so I love so many games, but it became just kind of a bonding thing, I feel like, with me and my girlfriend. But then like their roommates, we were going to like all cosplay Borderlands for Halloween before we got back into cosplay. But we were taking it so seriously. We were like, let's make foam wicks, let's figure this out. And, you know, getting really into it, and just could never finish it in time, but would never let it go. And so we started doing that together again, and it just took off from there. And it's been, you know, through all the revolving interests, Borderlands has always been a part of me since then, because I just feel like I really get the guts of it. And it was just so unique in a way from any of the other games I'd played. It just stuck with me in a lot of different ways.
Okay. So had it just been Handsome Jack that you cosplayed for Borderlands?
So officially, yes, that is my one. I'm having Athena that we're doing some final touches on. We have some stuff I can't talk about yet for some stuff coming up that I've been playing with. I have had a Maya in the works I'm trying to get done for ALA Los Angeles, like the anime Los Angeles, because it's a Christmas Maya. So it's like her pain deer. And so we flirt with a lot of that. But between Telpeth and I, we have two different versions of Fiona from New Tales, or from the original Tales. We have she has several versions of Tyrene Calypso, because that's like what she does, and has a few different closet cosplays. And then of course we have Jack, and then we're working on Lil. Like we have so many that have just been like baseline here, that the only one that's been con ready has really been Jack, because they take so much time to make. But I have a Moon Moxie from TPS and Mechanic Moxie that's, knock on wood, almost done. And so that was hopefully going to be this weekend. But we really try to wait with some of the Borderlands ones, because they are such a special thing that we want to do it at the right con, because it's a lot of work to get into it. And it's, you know, I love hearing people excited about it and like remembering the game and getting to talk about it. And so it's, you know, we're either doing it for us in good weather where we're not going to overheat to death, or it's going to be somewhere where people are going to like want to like get excited about the game, even if they don't come talk to us. If it's just like the amount of times we'll be walking by and hear people go, oh my God, dude, like Borderlands, forgot about Borderlands, or now I'm going to play Borderlands. It makes me happy. It feels like it's what's keeping a lot of the fandom alive, is just that love that, you know, we're playing a game of telephone, reminding people like, hey, like the nostalgic feeling of it. And so it's just so much fun. But yeah, he's been the official one. But I'm trying to think. We did a lot of Life is Strange for a bit. If you know Life is Strange, we do Chloe and Rachel and Max. I'm Max and Rachel usually. I'm not a good Chloe. They're a great Chloe, but I cannot pull it off, that vibe. But definitely more of that. The Quarry, another 2K game. Elizabeth from BioShock is a big one that I usually end up, because with cons you have such limited days that you kind of have to take like either highlights in, or you have to take easier ones in. And so depending on, you know, panels or if we're meeting, usually it's like things like Jesslyn. Like I wasn't gonna take Jack to PAX West this year. I was like, I'm gonna take Athena, I'm gonna take anyone else. It's just I'm not taking Jack. And it feels weird not taking him because everyone wants me to bring Jack. And I wasn't going to, and I got a message from Jesslyn that was like, you are bringing Handsome Jack. How dare you say we are gonna be in the same state and I'm gonna be Moxie and you're not gonna be Jack. And so we have all these photos to pose where she's like stepping on me, and like we have so many good ones, but it was just like literally threatened, like you need to bring this. And so it feels weird not taking him ever, but one day it'll happen. One day we'll branch off. But I mean, I've been at meetings for day job stuff and different tech stuff, and have people I don't even know look me in the eye, be like, so why'd your website say you know, they may know you as Handsome Jack? And I'm like, okay, I hate that this is like now bled into my real life at this point where he's such a brand point. But I love the little bastard, so it's it's okay. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We have a lot working on.
Yeah, it is a lot. What would you say had been like your favorite part, like in when you were making Handsome Jack? What was the favorite part of the outfit that you got to make?
So I won't take credit for this one, but Telepath, my partner, had redone my jacket before, like in a mad dash before it was Comic-Con Revolution, I think 2 years ago. And Damian Clark, his voice actor, was going to be there. And we were going to go anyway. We had a friend who was going. It's a very nothing con. It is literally like you go into a parking lot and you think it's closed kind of con. Like there is nothing around there. There was so little going on, and people were there mostly for like a few comic writers. Like it was a weird con. It was lovely, but not what we expected, right? But I was like, why the hell is he at this con? Like, and I don't want to go now. I don't want to be Jack because I need to like play it cool. Because I've worked with a lot of like celebrities, and I'm like, you know, done that. Like I'm an actor. It's fine. I don't get starstruck, but something about going up to someone in a cosplay of a character they're like beloved for, I'm brain malfunctions. I get really self-conscious.
Yeah.
It's just intimidating because it's like, you know, I know I would be excited, and then in the flip side of that, it's a very like if a character I wrote, someone came up to in a cosplay of that character, I would lose my mind. That would be my favorite day. But like it's Damian Clark, it's Handsome Jack, like whatever. And so I had a not exactly screen accurate jacket in my old Jack, and I had repainted these skinny jeans into his pants because a lot of it was like mostly for TikTok because we were in lockdown. We couldn't really do a lot, right? And so it looked great, but it just, I get really excited for my own stuff to be extremely screen accurate. And I'm always jealous when people take liberties because I just like, my brain is like, this is the rule though, like for you, you need to do this. And so I didn't want to go to a con that he was at and wear him if I was like, it's not going to be like fixed the way I want. And so we didn't get to do everything, but they remade an entire jacket, like the blazer by hand, and then they painted it, and it looks fucking gorgeous. And so that process was a lot of fun. Prop wise, it's probably the Echo or even the little cloaking device. Fought a lot with like I have a new Echo now that looks better. It bends a little weird on the belt kind of stuff, but it's Borderlands. It's supposed to look like that 2D, so it's always finding the line of how to make things like this look fake, but also directly out of the game and be something very real that you can take into a con. So the jacket was definitely, I think, the most rewarding part of it because it's gorgeous at that point. And we ended up lining it with like gold and like put little Hyperion logos, like little H's on it, and just taking our own thing with that. So it just felt really like expensive and just douchey, and it hit all of his little buttons. And so I'm at the point where it's like, I want Hyperion branded socks when I wear him. I really want to like get into it, but that jacket is really special to me. It's really special to me. But conference call too. I made a prop conference call a while ago. That was a lot of fun. That was probably favorite to go, and then I ended up chickening out and not taking it to that con. But it was fun. It was great.
What are your thoughts on the Borderlands movie that they're working on?
So I can't talk a whole lot about it because however, I will say I ran about it a lot. I'm excited for it. Okay. I'm really, really hopeful for it, and maybe that's foolish of me. My thoughts in general are video game adaptations. You know, we need to root for them to succeed, And as video games get more mainstream and all this like nerdy shit gets more mainstream, like cosplay too, like it's no longer taboo to be like, I'm a cosplayer. People are like, oh cool, what do you make? Like they're actually kind of interested in it now, you know? And so with the Borderlands movie, it has so much negativity online, and I think we're just kind of stuck in that, like, I don't know if it's like farming impressions or just people just, you know, are just mad and like trying to like, I don't know, like there's nothing wrong with like having a bad movie be fun and enjoyable. And so like I'm going with like no expectations of like, okay, worst case, this movie isn't good, but it's going to be fun because it's Borderlands and it's not going to take itself seriously, and we're going to, you know, take an edible and go write it out. Like, I don't know. Versus Craig Mazin was the first original writer that I remember the bidding war happening here for the script in LA, and how people were just like, this is like, the rumor on the town was that this was like the script that was going to like change, like shift stuff. However, since then, he's distanced himself from the project. He said this is no longer his script, that he doesn't know what happened to it, and he's not on it anymore. And so while the website still has him as a writer, the actual WGA registry does not. So with everything kind of shifting, I'm like, okay, my expectations go all over the place, but I really like the casting. And I think selfishly as an actor, like when people get mad at the Kevin Hart thing, I'm like, I mean, being typecast is hard. Like sometimes you're like, this is your comedy actor, and like going out of it is like really hard for people to take a chance on you. I like that they're shaking that up. I also know he was training with Navy SEALs and really going for it. But also, you go back on any message board and people are mad that Roland is so stoic in 2 because he was so funny and comic relief in 1. And so I'm like, people just really, I think, prejudge a lot of it. But I think they're going to look great. I think the reason they're not showing us a single bit of it is because they're making sure we don't have the Sonic situation. Like, it just looks good. And I'm rooting for it. I'm really rooting for it because I think bare minimum, Borderlands doesn't have a lot of plot in general. It really doesn't. I love it to pieces. It's getting more now, but my God, it is a looter shooter. If we can make a fun adaptation of that, it's good for the entire industry. Like, can we get some deeper adaptations here? Yeah. So I'm excited for that and the interactive series coming out.
Yeah. I mean, with the recent string of video game adaptations that have been hitting, like since the original Sonic, and then Detective Pikachu, and Mario, and The Last of Us.
Which was great.
Yeah, I think it seems to be on the rise. Although I've heard mixed things about Five Nights at Freddy. Although I don't think I'm gonna see that because I don't do horror. I'll never.
You don't do horror. Well, and I don't think it was scary for what it's worth, but it depends on how, like, what's your line for horror. Like, I know some people are comfortable with like
I can't do
kind of campy horror.
I just don't like getting scared, man.
I get that. No, I get that. I had to warm up to horror movies.
Jump scares.
I think Scream was one that got me.
Don't do it for me either. Like, I don't like jump scares. I'm not in the mood for excessive gore, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's like no gore in the movie too. Which I saw people complaining about. I'm like, these games weren't gory though. Like, these games are built off jump scares.
Right.
And the lore underneath it. And as the self-identified lore whore, I think it's, you know, one of those interesting things to me where I'm like, this is an adaptation that was made for the fans. And I think, you know, all the critics going, there's too much plot, go back to the horror of the games. I'm like, people are obsessed with this. And like, I know people who've cosplayed Five Nights stuff since its inception, and they're so happy with it. Like 10 out of 10, wish they could find something wrong to say about it and can't. Like, they're singing its praises right now. And I think, you know, people have a hard time separating what is maybe something they don't like, meaning it's bad, versus like just not being their thing. But for me, it was like campy. It was silly. It had the concept of like your straight man protagonist who like is very like playing it very seriously, and everyone else around them high camp. So it's like anytime you're like, okay, the protagonist is very like, okay, like it's in on the joke of it. Right. And so it was an unexpectedly really fun time. But it didn't have like any gore and stuff. So if you ever want to attempt it, it's on Peacock. I know. I feel like it's a safer one to attempt as far as horror goes, but I totally get it. Like, I really don't even think there was a scripted jump scare, which is what a lot of people, I think there's like technically one, but it's not like an actual one. It's like a little, you know, oh, you thought this would be a jump scare kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah. But I get it. But yeah, between that and Uncharted and, you know, all of these other movie
enjoyed. Yeah. As much as people, I guess, mocked it or whatever, I thought it was fun.
And that's the thing. I think it's a line of like, what do we want from these? Like, do we want it to be a like shot for shot retelling of this? And I feel like Last of Us was in a really interesting position because it got to really expand, and people were so resistant to it not being shot for shot and not being the same actors. But I think the show, for me, I was telling my mom this actually because she was finally watching it, and I've been telling so many people. The Last of Us is one of my favorite things. I cosplay Ellie. I fucking love The Last of Us. I'm working on Abby. Want to get a little more muscular for her, before I do her, but I freaking love Last of Us. And the show was one of those moments where I felt like I was experiencing it for the first time again, and I didn't think anything would give me that. And I want to be able to Men in Black myself for my favorite games, and replay them again. And the show hit so many marks and was so loyal. And their rule that Neil Druckmann talked about a lot was we kept it like as close to the game as possible, except if we could improve it. And then if we did, we'd change it. If it was just a lateral move or sacrifice something else, we didn't touch it. It wasn't worth it. And I think the love that goes into that. And Neil's always been a very cinematic guy, and that's where a lot of people kind of get mad at Naughty Dog and like some other stuff there, where it feels a little, you're watching a game rather than playing a game. I don't feel that way, but like I hear that a lot. But I think the way he approached it was very cerebral and very like, this is highbrow. And I feel like something like The Last of Us needed that kind of adaptation, but something like Sonic clearly needs to be a fun movie, right? And so FNAF needed to be a fun movie. Whether or not they make it scarier with the sequels or really feel it out, who knows? But I feel like video game adaptations and anime adaptations and all these things we're seeing, the ones that succeed really just like tune into what their core fan base likes about that IP and able to embody it. And so like Borderlands, if it's ridiculous, you've hit the mark, because it's just like, you can't, what are you going to do, farm guns the whole time in a game? Like you can't do that in a movie. You can't just be like, we're going to kill this boss 4 times, let's check the grip. It's going to be the little nods to it and be that humor that otherwise it would have been a Fallout competitor, like knockoff at that point. And it just wasn't, because it actually had a soul to it. And so I think the Fallout series will be interesting. I think we're
just got reminded
as long as it's stuck on TV.
They just announced the release date for that series on Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and Arcane's getting a second season, and so it's like, I feel like if it's staying on TV, things are going to be more serious. I think the only one recently I was like disappointed by, and I say recently, but I think it's been like 5 years at this point probably. But was the Tomb Raider movie? I was really disappointed in that.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard for me to go in not having high expectations for that because the reboots are so good. And so I'm hoping that the more we're taking this seriously approach stays in TV, where they can have that space, because video games are so unique. And I think it's why I really love them, is that you don't just get 2 hours with a character and this is the time you have. You get 20 hours, 40 hours in this world with these characters and this character development. And TV shows have that. Like Breaking Bad wouldn't have been anything it was if it was a 2-hour movie, right? And so by being able to spend the time with characters like that, it's, really lending itself to more of a episodic medium. And things like FNAF would be an awful TV show at that point, because then you're just like jumping the shark every week trying to figure out how to expand it. And so fun movie, serious, award bait TV is kind of where my brain wants things to be.
All right. If there was one game adaptation that you'd like to think that it could be a good movie or TV show for that matter, which one you had to pick? Because I'm always reminded of, and I don't even know if it's still in production, because it's been in production hell for decades, since it was like teased, but they've been trying to get a Metal Gear Solid movie off the ground for years.
Yeah.
And like,
I think it's still in production hell, last I heard. Yeah, I think it bounced. Yeah, I think it bounced rights somewhere. I have to go back and look. God. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I say it so cautiously, and I feel like I need a different answer because it's already in its development again. But BioShock is at Netflix right now with Francis Lawrence, and I'm terrified of it. But BioShock in general, is a masterclass in atmosphere, and that movie's either going to enhance it and like give it additional life and really let people experience it in a new way, or it's going to completely miss the point of the game. And so I'm a little worried about that. I think Red Dead could be an interesting TV adaptation, like a Westworld kind of, serial series like that. Other than that, I mean, you would have to really, I think, find that right audience. Outlast is one I go to a lot, where I feel like there's so much world building there that we don't really get to experience in like a survival horror game that could be interesting, but it doesn't adapt well to like an IP in my head of like, what do you do after that? It'd have to be like a American Horror Story. Here's a limited series of Outlast 1, Outlast 2, Outlast Trials. But what's interesting is Dead by Daylight's getting adaptation, which has like very little there. So I don't know. What do I know at that point? But I think the more we lean into things like, I remember Eco from back in the day. I think it might be Echo pronounced, but it's one of my favorite PS2 games. I play it. I kept my PS2. It's still in my apartment, where I replay that and Chamber of Secrets and SSX Tricky and stuff every year. That really stuck with me. That I think if we had the right filmmakers behind it, could really make interesting extended adaptations. But like you would need like a Guillermo del Toro kind of person. You couldn't just pawn that off to the right rights. And so like Life is Strange has been bouncing around rights for so long, and in production hell. Last of Us was in production hell for years. It was going to be a movie years ago. And so, I mean, I think you can make an argument for most games. I think Fallout's a smart move there, but we saw what went with Halo. So but the more science fiction, realism based ones, I think are going to be right up the alley of what to do. I would say Wolf Among Us, but we had Once Upon a Time, and I feel like people wouldn't go watch it, even though it's better in every way at that point. But it's we've seen something similar in that vibe on TV before, so I don't know if it would take off like it should.
Yeah. It's just funny mentioning a lot of these games that I have never even played before, because I've just been so. I'm odd in the fact that like I get almost turned off by certain games just because of how often people claim that it's the greatest game ever made. Cause like
I feel that.
That's why that's why I've never touched The Last of Us, nor do I even want to at this point. Like I just watch reaction videos of people watching the series, so I get the vibe of like, all right, that's good enough.
I get that. I mean, I have that with TV. It's like there's actually a term for it. It's like demand avoidance or something like that, where if like someone's like clean your room and you were gonna clean your room, you suddenly don't want to clean your room. It's the same thing with TV shows. Like if my mom will be like, oh, have you watched like the show? And I'm like, no, not yet. I've been busy, or I haven't watched a new show in a while. She's like, oh my God, you will be obsessed with it. You have to watch it. Suddenly I can't watch it. Like I'm like, that is not on my list. I can't do that anymore.
That was me for Game of Thrones for the longest time until it ended.
Oh, yeah.
And then like literally, it was like I had a week off between starting new job, and I borrowed someone's HBO.
Did you binge it all?
And I binged it all. And I'm like,
yes.
And I'm like, all right, I get it. I fucking get it.
That's one I had a love-hate relationship with, but I feel that I've never actually seen Avatar, like the James Cameron movie, because it kind of came like that, where it came out and everyone was just like, oh, this is like the best thing ever. And I was like, it just seems very like fine, like, but they're like, visually you gotta go. And I just never got around to the theater, and now it's at a point where it's been so long and I haven't seen it, and I'm like, no, I'm sure it's great. I don't care about seeing it. I don't want to see it. And I hate that. My brain finally got over that with Arcane. I just recently watched Arcane for the first time because it was like, the same thing.
I just despise League of Legends, so I'm just not gonna touch Arcane.
See, it feels, granted, I didn't have the trauma of League going into it. Felt like a completely different thing for me. From what I know about League of whatever, and I had to I kept looking up like, okay, who's actually in this game, who's not. It's a fantastic show. I will say that it's a fantastic show, and I knew it would be. And so many Borderlands cosplayers, because it has a similar style, like had like pivoted and hyperfixated on it. And because of that, because I just like I was working like 15-hour days. I couldn't do all this stuff. I just couldn't sit down and binge it. And then I got really frustrated about the fact that everyone's obsessed with it. And it's no one else's fault. It's my own brain just going like, well, now I can't get attached to it now because everyone else is. And
literally me, like everyone's talking about Arcane. I was like,
yeah.
No.
I know, it's like, I get it. It's great. I'll watch it, which is weird because I love popular things. I'm not against, like, I'm not a contrarian, whatever. But like, if it hits a window where it suddenly becomes something I have to do and like admit and like, this is the best thing ever. Like I ask people all the time on my podcast stuff where I'm just like, 5 best games ever made, not your favorites, but like you put in a time capsule and someone who has never played a game before, like these are the inherent games, and the list always changes, right? But it's really fun getting people, like, especially if I talk to like developers and stuff about it, they get so into it trying to like figure out exactly where things go, and it drives me insane because every time I have to explain, I wouldn't put Borderlands on there, And people are like, "What do you mean you want to put Borderlands on there?" I'm like, some days if I'm in the right mood, maybe Tales from the Borderlands for like a choice-based kind of thing because it is love letter to the universe. But like in general, people who are like Borderlands 2 is the greatest game ever made. I'm getting a Borderlands 2 tattoo. I have a Handsome Jack wall behind me. Like I have Moxie's tits behind me. Like I get it. I love it with my whole heart and soul. I am Borderlands trash. My computer has a Borderlands name. Like everything is Borderlands. I don't think it's the greatest game ever made. I think it's a great game. I think it's a fun game. But putting expectations on people to go in and do it is always really hard. And it's like I've been trying to get people to play Control for the longest time because I think Control is on paper one of the best experiences I've had with a game. Same with Spider-Man, the PS4. Like it just be mind-boggling how good they were. And a lot of people are similar where it's just like the expectations going in. It's so hard to get your brain to then like actually play it. But I love shitty games too. So it's like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, no, what do you want me to do? Like, it's fine. I love Overwatch. Leave me alone.
Oh, you poor thing.
I know it's bad. I'm working on Tracer cosplay and Ash cosplay and a Widow cosplay. Like, too many. The aesthetics are too pretty. It's too good for my ADHD brain. I get little lore snippets in between where it's just like the random one-off lines, or like one time like Reaper killed like one-shotted soldier. He was like, "Oh, you look bad, Jack." And I was like, "Cool, I'm going to be thinking about that for 4 days. Like, what is the lore behind here?" It effectively grabs me in a way it shouldn't. But it's one of the only PvPs that I feel like I can like repeatedly replay now. DB used to be one of them, but it just, for me, it changes just enough. And the fact that you can die, regroup, change like that format versus like a Valorant where you're just dead and you're waiting. Can't do it. It's perfect for my ADHD goblin brain. And my God, the aesthetics are so good. And they keep releasing too many skins. And I can't have a billion Overwatch cosplays for no goddamn reason. So,
Oh my god.
it's, God, I gotta do a real shoot if I do that though. That's the thing. It's like I'll make it whatever. I'm like, if I do Tracer, we need an ass shot. You know what I mean? Like we gotta like commit to like doing Tracer and like figuring that out. And so it's just like one of those things where I get too excited about one or the other. So I have like 3 half-started Ashes where I'm like, commit. Just finish the pool Ash, go for it. I'm like, well, now it's winter. I don't need pool Ash right now. I'll do this one instead. And it's nightmare. Nightmare, too pretty. But objectively shitty game. Great game, shitty game.
The only games where I'm obsessed with their lore are Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts, yes. Which, again, convoluted lore, getting people into it is really hard, but fantastic.
I know. I mean, like, I just hear people, like, going into it or, like, making comments about, like, so is the lore really that bad? It's just like, it is.
Yes.
Just
However,
go with it. Just go with it.
You'll accept it into your heart. It'll be fine. I recently replayed them. I say recently, I think it was 2020 now, but I still actually haven't played 3 because back when I was a kid and I was playing 1 and 2, my best friend at the time, who I got him really into gaming, and that was just always like our thing. We would play Kingdom Hearts, and we're like, if 3 ever comes out, we gotta wait for each other. And here we are, you know, full ass adults, jobs other side of the country, and 3's been out and we've owned it and haven't touched it. And I saw this motherfucker in fucking July. He came in for like half a day in LA and we like grabbed lunch and he was like, I have to tell you something. And I knew, I was like, you're playing Kingdom Hearts, aren't you? I went, yeah. I'm like, it's fine. I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. I've thought about doing it and lying about it, but I didn't. And so I'd gone through and only played the first few because I was like itching for it. And I had like the remix that had all of the like Game Boy games and everything just kind of like shoved in one thing on PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
And so I was so frustrated. I was like, how did I play this as a child? I kept getting stuck in like the next last boss on one, but I was so into it that I remember when I started Kingdom Hearts 2 again, it felt like one of those like I was just remembering all this stuff where I was like both getting mad at like the inevitable like bullshit that I knew was coming with stuff, but then I was also sitting there like jaw on the floor like, wait, holy shit, I forgot about this. Like I have so many videos I was sending to Tell at the time just being like, holy shit, like this is oh my god, Mickey's doing this. Like I was so into it and I forgot the grip it had on me as a kid. And it's one of those that will repeatedly, I see a Keyblade, I'm like, do I need to make a Kingdom Hearts cosplay? I'm like, no, you do not. I'm like, but maybe I do. Maybe I do. Maybe we need more of those in the world.
I've got several Keyblades.
I love it.
Cosplayed Riku a couple of times, and
amazing.
I mean,
sick. Yes. The soundtrack, fantastic. I just dude.
Oh god,
fantastic.
Yoko Shimomura is a god.
Literally fantastic.
I just love how we all Kingdom Hearts fans collectively lose our shit when we get the tiniest crumb of info. Because I think recently they just they just posted a teaser of Missing Link. It's like, what the fuck is this game?
No,
What is it?
100%.
Where is it?
That's how I feel. I feel like I am the island doing exactly that in every fandom I'm in, but it's because I have that energy. So it's Borderlands where I sit here, I'm like, guys, did you hear that line delivery? That one little thing over here? Like, do you know what this means? And then I will dissect it and no one gives a fuck. And I'm like, I do that in Kingdom Hearts. And it's suddenly like, oh my God, we can like piece this together. I feel like Charlie Day and Always Sunny, always all the time. Just like, Carol. I will find something and be like, we've not talked about this to death. This is perfect. And Kingdom Hearts encourages that. It's like the Taylor Swift of video games where it just like has all these little Easter eggs, but they're not intentional or not. And it's like, go find them. And so you just feel like you're missing something. I'm trying to beautiful mind these games 10, 15 years later. And it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
But convoluted as fuck for no reason. It is so, the lore you have to just kind of ignore at a point, but you can't. You can't when you're into it.
No.
It just gets you. FNAF is similar.
Do you think, because I'm thoroughly just against having potential Star Wars worlds in Kingdom Hearts, because as much as it doesn't make sense that Disney somehow worked with Final Fantasy, if you throw in a lightsaber, I'm just like, no, that doesn't work.
I know, Final Fantasy, totally fine with. I don't want Star Wars.
Thank you.
I don't want Star
want
Wars
it either.
And here's the thing. I really used to be like the Star Wars kid. Like when I moved schools in 8th grade, the first thing I said, I was that nerd where I sat down in band class next to someone and went, do you like Star Wars? And they reminded me about it my senior year going like, do you remember what you were? I'm like, yes, I loved Star Wars. I'm at the point where I need it out of stuff. It's not enhancing things by throwing it in there. And it's not the fan service I think they think it is anymore. Like I will defend the prequels. They're fun. Make a drinking game out of it. Love yourself. Like it's fine. But I don't want them in Kingdom Hearts. Like it's even like cool losing also the fact that like I know we like lost the princesses and stuff like that, like blah blah blah, copyright, blah blah blah. But if we can do that and then add in Star Wars, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, if this is a Disney property, just
doesn't even make more sense if you throw in Marvel in there. It's just like no.
Exactly. I'm like, the reason we love Kingdom Hearts is, other than Final Fantasy stuff, it's the original characters in it. It's like that.
Yeah.
Because like even like Donald and like everyone feels like their own like subset, but we're so used to that from like the different little Disney shorts and stuff we've had. Like it's just they exist differently in the universe, right? But like if Sora and Riku and stuff hadn't been in the first one, we wouldn't be where we are. Like let us enjoy this without shoving every IP you collect in there, because it loses the charm of, I think, what Kingdom Hearts really hit on. Like I saw, again, I haven't played through, but I saw something on Twitter the other day that was talking about the art design, and someone was complaining about how much it changed. And they're like, Hercules is the only one still in the original kind of art. I'm like, no, but that's intentional. Like as games grow and the platforms grow, like Kingdom Hearts 3 objectively is beautiful when I look at it. And I'm not mad about the art style changing or some of the vibe changing or even the overall plot. It feels like you're losing something for the sake of shoving in more IP. Like I don't need more Marvel. I don't need more Star Wars. Like it's like if they randomly had Lord of the Rings somehow in there, like they made a deal with Amazon and cut it, whatever, I'd be like, what are we doing? Like there's no IP you could throw in there that would be like, oh yes, this makes sense. Like keep it what it is. You have plenty to work with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Star Wars would ruin it, I feel like.
Yeah. God, now I was just thinking back to when Sora got into Smash. That was like...
I forgot about that.
That was peak.
It was mind-bending, honestly. It did not expect it at all.
I mean, like, everyone wanted it, and just everyone... Because apparently I was reading that when Sakurai wanted to get Sora into Smash, Disney was okay with it. It was just Square Enix was being the hard ass. Like, oh.
They're always the hard ass. I love them, hugs and kisses, but my God, they're always a hard ass.
Yeah.
They're part of the issue, I think, with Life is Strange adaptation too, where it just, yeah.
So
there was a lot of streamer shit with them with one of their newer games too, where it was like, yeah, it was just like flagging where it was really weird. I don't know why they're so protective of some things, not the others, but yeah, I love like that kind of. I feel like that kind of silly collab is fun, like something like Super Smash, you know. I don't know, like that era of gaming, I feel like we don't really have anymore. And I'm not going to see a lot of those like overlaps because so many things are like, here's the monopoly controlling this one, here's this one. I'm like, I miss when things didn't fucking make sense. And we just kind of accepted Final Fantasy was in Kingdom Hearts. And we're like, cool, makes sense, let's go. And when Smash started getting a weird collection of everything. And I don't know, it was a lot of fun. And I'm sure it's still happening on some console somewhere, but I never get to see it anymore, and it's really sad.
Yeah. So speaking of, again, back on the lore thing, I believe that's what your podcast is mostly about, or centered
So
around, or
it varies. So I just inherently will rant about lore a lot. It's really easy to get me going on story and character. And internally, it has been told to me that I have been referred to at 2K as the lore master of the Borderlands universe, and I don't know how I feel about that because I'm like, "Ooh, okay, this is one hefty," and also just like, okay, I feel the pressure. It's fine. Here we go. I know the lore better than some of them do. You know who I'm talking about. SAM. I'll fight him. I'll fight him. It's fine. But yeah, so inherently will find a way to talk about lore. It's just I say it's a podcast where gamers talk about gaming and whatever gamers talk about. So, we have some debates like I remember me and my friend MCM Designs, he's in Australia, but he does a lot of like Grounded and stuff like that. But we bonded over Until Dawn over a year ago is when we like met, and we were both realized we were obsessed with Supermassive games. And so we just did a whole like list of like here are some takes about video games or topics like how do you feel about MMO or modding or inventory caps. And then first thought, best thought, if we said it and we disagreed, we had to fight about it and like move on. And so we'll do like sometimes fun things like that. And usually right now it's a lot of Borderlands talk because I have a lot of Borderlands people on, but we get into just like, nostalgic and games that made you cry and, why you like it. It's just really anything that, I just recorded one the other day where we spent a good 20 minutes talking about Monster. That's such a cut down where it was just, let's talk about energy drinks. Let's go. So it's really just that comfortable kind of talk because I feel like being a woman and I hate talking about it, but like because nothing is more boring than talking about being a woman as a woman, and we're just always asked, but it's what it is, and it's real. And being a woman in a male-dominated space, like I'm really into sports, and it's just been most of my life. I end up in, like I was on a co-ed sports team, but I was only a girl kind of thing, and it's just, what really happens when you're into specific hobbies that tend to be a little gatekept by either marketing or parents or whatever. And so the concept of like having a space to be able to like have a conversation with the fact that people are meeting on a shared interest and seeing where it goes is really exciting. So it could be conversational, it could be lore debates, it could be what's the worst weapon in every game, let's go. It's really whatever the guest is vibing at the time, but I say all the time, and now that internet friends are becoming more, just general, like everyone has social media friends, people are online dating, doing all of this stuff that all the stuff that I couldn't really talk about growing up of like having internet friends without it being like, ooh, like dangerous, because I was a 90s kid. It's what happened. Like we're not supposed to do that. And exactly. But there's nothing stronger, I feel like, than making friends with someone on a shared interest from like across wherever. Like it doesn't matter where you are, but like that intense passion that you share, you don't just find people like that in your daily life. Like I'm not like going to school and finding people who are into the same shit I am in the exact same way, or like in ways that challenge me. And so having a meeting ground where things happen like that, just, it's very much all goes because it leads to interesting, like this, like Kingdom Hearts. Like I wouldn't have come in and been like, oh yeah, like let's talk about Keyblades, but yeah, I'll sit here and debate about Kingdom Hearts. Let's go. And it's, fun to have that comfort that like this is a zone where that can happen. And that happens all the time in chat. It's mostly chat's fault that it happened in the first place, but like I laugh at, I say it's a support group for men a lot because they'll come in and they'll start talking about like their dates or their like whatever, and they just like will talk to each other because we encourage the fact that like, yeah, we can make fun of each other and we can do whatever, but like end of the day, like we all go through the same shit. Sometimes we're all depressed, sometimes we're tired, sometimes we're, crazy, and sometimes dates suck and work sucks, and being able to just like have that like understanding, even if you can't completely sympathize with it, you can empathize a little bit. And it's, I don't know, so long-winded way of, it's me, I will rant about lore, but we just find that shared interest and we craft from there based on what.
So TwitchCon.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Hang on. Where are we at? We're almost an hour and we haven't talked about TwitchCon. This is great.
I'm wearing the merch. We mentioned it briefly, I feel like.
Briefly, yeah. So the episode I recorded earlier, all about TwitchCon. You, obviously were there. you're wearing the merch.
Mhm.
All 3 days.
Yeah, all 3
Okay,
days.
and it was just yeah. No, so tell me about it. So, how was it?
You were there? You
I
went?
was not there. I mean,
Okay.
even though I had that week off, I couldn't just. It was essentially a staycation for me. I could not
Yeah.
justify the
No,
trip.
I shouldn't have gone in the
Oh,
responsible adult of me where it was just like I backstory with my opinion on TwitchCon first is that PAX West is my favorite con of the year, and that's Labor Day weekend. And so we had come back from that, and for the first time, I got COVID, and so I was sick for like 2 weeks after got PAX with baby. Like, let's go, and just like how to recover. And I knew I'd be heading into TwitchCon. While that was happening, I didn't realize my hotel had overbooked for TwitchCon and canceled on me. And so right
oh,
before I'm in LA, so it's a 5 hour drive or a 35-minute flight. And right before when I was like planning, okay, am I going alone? Is my partner coming? Like, am I cosplaying? Because it's in Vegas. Do I want to deal with all that? What are we doing?
mm,
Because I never not cosplayed at con. So that was a really weird concept for me too. But it's
yeah.
Twitch and I'm me. I'm cosplaying as me. Like, what do we do? And so, when I went to like triple check all the details, I realized that I didn't have a hotel reservation anymore. And I kind of panicked. I was like, well, maybe I won't go. And so community is great. Found, a place to crash and kind of just impulse day before. It was literally less than 24 hours before I bought a plane ticket for the next morning for Friday morning and was like, we're just going to go. And so I went straight from the airport to drop out stuff to Uber to the convention center and picked up my badge. And that was it. And so it was a very one of those like overwhelming weekends. So because of that, I think the first day was, and I'm ADHD, I'm medicated, I was out of my meds because shortage baby. So by the time I
Sure.
got there, I was like, this isn't what I want. And I knew it was gonna be interesting because I was planning on it mentally being in San Diego. So when they curveball to Vegas, and it was like the F1 and the When We Were Young festival, and they just had like a private
Yeah.
plane convention
Yeah.
leave. Like so much stuff was happening that it was so both underwhelming and overstimulating at the same time that I just kind of was like in this phase, and I was like, okay, you got to commit. Like, are you staying or not? And I went, took a nap, ate McDonald's, and then rallied.
All right.
And honestly, it was, I think, needed because I went through everything. I was kind of like, it's a convention hall, is what it is. I don't really know what to do here. And I think everyone just had to kind of be warming up that first day because Saturday was such a different vibe from when I went Friday. And Friday was good. Like in hindsight, like I got to meet a lot of people in person. I, hadn't yet. I saw some different vendors I knew from previous stuff. So I got to say hi and
Mm,
it was I'm grateful I got to go at that point, but it was one of those things where I was texting my partner going, I'm about to like rebook my ticket and like leave early because I'm too stressed about being here. I need to work. I also just like this isn't like everything was just wrong, right?
right.
And then Saturday ended up being one of the most uplifting days of any point in my streaming career, where it just
Oh.
really felt like the universe was just kind of going like, hey, just chill for a minute. Like you just need a nap. You need a nap and a snack, and let's regroup. And that really, honestly, was a lot of it probably, but it it was just good conversations again, kind of like the talking about the podcasting where it was you didn't have to do anything. I didn't really go to any panels, so I'm really bad about that with cons. Like I had some friends who went to some of Dan's talks and stuff like that, but I go to cons to just experience the people, and like if there's like a
Yep.
specific like if I'm there for like a certain developer or I'm there on a job or something like that, I'll clearly go to something. But in general, I don't really hit up the panels because it's not like stuff that interests me unless it's like a specific Q&A. Like the only panel we went to at San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago happened to be the Gearbox panel, and it wasn't even because it was Gearbox, and there were like 10 people there, and it was how to adapt IP into licensing and like merchandising stuff. And since I'm a writer, I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Adapting IP rights, baby, let's go. And then and so that of everything there was the only thing in SDCC that I was like, I don't care about going waiting line forever to hear about slates. So TwitchCon was a lot of like, I don't know what to expect. Like after the ball pit incident and all this other stuff, like what are they doing this year? And
Right.
I really loved it. I would love it not to be in Vegas again. But in general, it's one of those things where I got in the Uber to leave like midday on Sunday. And I was going to rebook a later flight, and then that one got pushed, and I kept going back and forth. So I just like commit, get my stuff, leave. And when I left, I got a text going like, "Hey, someone wants to meet you. Come over here." And I got sad. It was like I actually got the like post-con blues that I didn't expect to get because it had been such a whirlwind of,
Right.
whatever. But like the few Borderlands people that were there, because way more came last year, and then just Vegas, just a lot of people couldn't come this year. We all had brunch that Sunday, and it was just one of those moments where I was like, oh, like this is just like comfortable and nice, and we didn't have to be inside the convention center, didn't have to be doing anything, but I got the chance to like introduce friends who are killing it out there to like people I knew and vendors, and like make these connections. And I think it's hard because the convention hall feels a little bit like dick measuring a little bit sometimes when it's like a thing for streamers. It could feel a little intimidating to walk around and be like, hey, are you trying to like get a sponsorship? Like what's the purpose of being there? And with all of that just kind of like out of the way and just going, cool, I'm just like here to vibe and see what interests me and like talk to people. It became so much more. Like I think I had like 3 meals a whole weekend. I barely did anything. We had Denny's the next day. I had like 2 p.m. pancakes and I ate way too many, but I was like, yes, food. And then it was it. But I ended up like the HyperX arena for this like esports party, and like see if Twitch was there, and like I see like these Overwatch pros walking around and stuff. And it was just one of those things where it was like, the thing I love about PAX is you're just in this industry, like you're existing, and the energy of talking to people about what they're passionate about, bar none for me. And so it was one of those moments where the moment I settled in and really got to just like let go of any expectations of like the fact that it was such a far Uber to where I was, and I was spending all this money on it. Like I was there, I had to commit to being there, and suddenly I wasn't trying to make it something it wasn't, and I loved it. That being said, would love it to not be in Vegas, and luckily it's not going to be, but I would love it to go back to San Diego or wherever it's going to be, just not Vegas, because I feel like there's just too much spread out and not going on. Wasn't really accessible from that point, but and I think you miss out on a lot of connections that way, because then it's like you don't know where to go. But I love that vibe of a con, when cons are very much like, what's the hotspot hit tonight, and you have to kind of like figure it out as you go all day, like what's going to happen. I like rolling with it like that. So it ended up, I think, I'm so glad I went. I'm really glad I went, and definitely going next year.
Yeah. Cool. How was the cosplay vibe there throughout the convention? Like, was it really popular? Because I know, at least from my experience going to PAX East, I felt like cosplay it's having a diminished representation or appearance like year after year. Like, when I started going to PAX East, like in 2012 onward, it was like cosplay heavy. But now it's just like, it seems like those kinds of gaming conventions are not really made for cosplays anymore. Like, you're more willing to go to either an anime convention or like your CatsuCon or your Dragon Con.
Yeah.
So
it was underwhelming. I'm glad I didn't bring, like, I was making jokes about if I was doing BioShock Elizabeth kind of thing. I was like, what am I going to be like tying the corset with the doorknob and like this hotel? Like, it's like, what am I going to be doing here? Because I'm so used to getting ready someone. When you have intricate cosplays, there's a lot of not glamour. Like, it's always the meme of like, everyone says they want to cosplay girlfriend until, and it's like the girl like wrapped in saran wrap and like sitting there, and it's like the amount of times I'll get in a cosplay. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like phase night, Jocelyn came over, and Jocelyn Cupcake was getting ready with us in our hotel for PAX West every morning, and it was like the insane. Like, we're walking around, and I'm like one boob out trying to get like this binder on for Jack, or like I'd be half dressed and be like, I can't bend over and put on my shoes, and like girlfriend have to come over and like put on socks for me, and I'd be sitting there, and like you're just not glamorous at all, but before you get in the point. So we're all just like constantly like adjusting stuff like that, which is why it's so funny when you see like the kind of before and after, because it's like what goes into some of that shit is absurd. And so I was like nervous about Twitch, because I'm like, I want to go, like people were like, oh my god, please bring this, or I have lore from Borderlands 3 that I've never debuted anywhere, kind of stuff where people really wanted me to bring them, and all the stuff where I was just like, it just feels like, I know it's Vegas and I think anything goes, like I'm in LA, I get it, like people are weird, people do stuff. It wasn't a judgment, it was just like the effort to go in that, the heat, and would it even be a popular place? And I'm really glad I didn't, because I was in all of the cosplayers I did see, I was really excited, but like it was mostly that casual cosplay vibe, like almost like a Disney bound kind of vibe, where it was I didn't see, like, there wasn't like the big furry suit walking around or someone with like the massive stilts. Like there wasn't anything that really stuck out. And I would say maybe I've just like missed a lot of it. Like I'm sure that was there. They had the cosplay contest and stuff, but I didn't just casually run into anyone cosplaying. And that was really weird for me because it just that's not, clearly my experience. PAX West was a lot like that where there was still way more, but like I always say I feel like kind of like the sore thumb sometimes walking around because I'm like, this is just like a little unexpected. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't mind being like the only cosplay there, but it was definitely. I'm hoping wherever it is next time, lends more of that thing because I have to imagine maybe Vegas just a lot of cosplayers had the same thought, and we're like, I don't want it's gonna be like 90 degrees in the desert. The walk is insane. Nothing is walkable, so you have to always like do all this stuff. And like, what happens if your phone prop breaks when you're in an Uber? Then you're here walking around. Like, there's not an easy exit, right?
Right.
And so I'm kind of hoping that's it because they tried to feel like they were putting some focus on cosplay before it, but then I saw nothing there for it at all. Like no repair station, no parade, no anything. And you couldn't wear masks either, which is really normal, but like it was like weird about the rules where I was like, would I get in trouble for wearing like you couldn't wear full face paint? And like would Jack be a problem? Would GLaDOS be a problem when we do Portal cosplay? Would something like that, where it's just very I don't know how strict they were about anything, but yeah, it was a little weird. It was a little disappointing with the turnout, but I'm sure there were some great people I missed though. Yeah.
Let me. Whoop, not that one. Not. Oh god, this is gonna get weird. Might get weird.
You're totally good. Be vibing. I got water. My TwitchCon water bottle.
What other things would you say that you're passionate about? How much you feel like you've touched everything? Well, so, okay. You said it was your partner that helped get you into cosplay so how did that come about?
So I cosplayed a little when I lived in Georgia, like when I was like teenager, 18, kind of. I lived there till I was like 20. So I would do like Doctor Who and Sherlock cosplays and Archer cosplay. Like I would just be like, how do I do this? And like go to Dragon Con. And like it was very casual because I didn't have anyone that was like really crafty. We laugh all the time that like I'm the type of person that will be like, oh, this thing doesn't exist or it's broken, we need to buy it. And they're very much like, or you can just fix it or make it. And it's never occurred to me that like that's something you can do because that wasn't the household I grew up in. I was in a, here's the pre-made food household, not the here's how you go cook household. And so I just didn't know really like even where to start for anything. And I was always like the really nerdy one of groups, but I was also like kind of like the glue of the friend group, like the connecting piece. And so I couldn't like do a lot of too nerdy stuff because it was like then no one would like you had to like separate the group, right? Like it was I would drive that, and if people weren't really into it, it would just be me on a limb doing it. And so I did a little bit, but I was mostly just focused on like writing and stuff like that. And I dabbled in it a little bit after that in Portland, and then I just didn't go to cons again. And I was just working and this and acting, and it kept going on. And so fast forward to girlfriend, I met them when X-Men Days of Future Past came out. So it was a long time ago.
Okay.
And long story short, we're Tumblr mutuals and never talked, and neither of us ever messaged or did anything. And we just started talking randomly one day. Like no idea really in hindsight. Like it was definitely a universe kind of moment. But they were always really open about cosplay. And that was something that I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like people like still do that because I just didn't see it ever. And so when they moved to LA after they graduated, because they're a little bit younger, graduate college. Let me say that when they graduated college, they had to put that disclaimer there. Them and their roommates moved to LA, and the roommates are, some of, our best friends, been their roommates since the beginning of college. So it's been, 10-year marriage at that point with everyone. But our Halloweens, we went all out for. It was full on professional cosplay on Halloween that we would go and then go to an escape room for 40 minutes and come home and play video games. Or we would get dressed up to take a couple photos to sit on the couch and play until dawn again. Like it was just absurd the levels we went through because all of us were theater people. Like she was a BFA, like acting major. Her roommate is like a carpenter, technical director, like built Halloween Horror Nights stuff and everything. Like we were just all those type of people, and I didn't have the skill set for it, but I really loved it. And I could do like the makeup and stuff, but I just like the osmosis of just like experiencing that, right? And so when lockdown hit and LA was closed for a while, but we both just, all my projects stopped. I had films in development and stuff, and we just kind of like stalled. And I cosplayed like a little like X-Men stuff here and there, but it was mostly just like pre-bought stuff. They had messaged me at one point at the start of 2020 and were like, okay, how much would you judge me if I started cosplaying on TikTok? And I was like, love it, do it. I'll download TikTok. Let's go. Like, I'm gonna support you. And they got so into it. And I saw this like light up again, that they dragged me back into this element where now it's just like it became that thing where you're realizing, oh, this is the creative outlet that I'm missing right now, where it's just like all this stuff and it's so dark. And like, so you got to like learn new hobbies and like figuring out sewing and painting and how to make things look like metal that you're painting on foam that doesn't make sense, and that trial and error that you don't really have the time to do when you're just like, oh, I'm in the rat race, like going to work and work on this movie. Like I'm not like going to block out a night to figure out how to paint fake foam and to look like a gun, right? And so when I got to start doing that a little bit in lockdown, hi buddy, my dog is trying to get in my lap very badly.
Oh, fun. Okay.
We really got into it from that way. And then they made me Jack shoes. I remember they brought me over. They gave me a Rogue wig for Christmas, like from X-Men. Going like, you've always wanted to cosplay Rogue, do it. But then had painted the shoes I bought for Jack that we never got around to doing for that Halloween into the shoes I still wear for Jack, and was just like, hey. And so I was like, okay, fine. And so we just like head first went into it and started going to cons again. And as soon as any lockdown lifted, and it was horrifying for me because I'm immunocompromised, and it was one of those decisions we had to like make. And I was like, I remember having a really emotional conversation where I was like, I don't know why this feels so important to us, but okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna figure this out. And we've never looked back. Like, it's just been like that was what the missing piece was, and so many of these outlets where it's just like, we love this. And I think being in an environment that we both just support each other rather than like having to be like, oh well, yeah, like cosplay, you feel like the nerdy one, or then like parents will get it. Like, we're able to buy our own supplies and figure this out. And like I just got my sewing machine before last PAX because I was like, no, you keep talking about your breaking and this, and like it's just one of those things where you get to share that really passionate hyperfixation. Because that's what I laugh about when it's usually men, but will be like, oh, have you played this game? And I'm like, I literally cosplay from it. Like, do you know how much effort goes into this? Like, why would I be making this if I didn't love what it was? And so you really get to experience that kind of stuff in a different way. So it got me back into it at that point, being able to have that person to do it with, but also just being able to trial and error, explore what I was actually good at about it, and actually commit to trying it, because I wasn't worried about, what it looked like to roommates or parent or like whatever,
Yeah.
Puppy. Sorry. Dog is demanding lap, so I'm letting him up.
Okay.
Come here.
Can see Doggo on stream.
Yeah, you can see Doggo. Come
Apologies for audio listeners. You do not get to see Doggo. Oh, Doggo.
Oh, there's Doggo. Hi. I know.
I know.
So needy. He's so scraggly. He looks so homeless right now.
And my cat's sleeping in her bed.
Oh yeah, my cat's sleeping in bed right now, very mad that now the dog is getting the attention. I'm sure we'll start screaming, but
oh boy.
He is the definition of a lap dog. He is very his name is Remy LeBeau, after Gambit from X-Men, honestly. But This is Remy, and he's a little ham, and looks very scraggly right now because he is a scraggly old man and really needs a haircut.
Yeah,
smelly boy indeed, right? Smelly boy indeed.
Sleeping her life away.
I love it. What kind of cat?
What kind of cat? Ah, God.
Is she like tabby, black cat, white cat?
Domestic, like black and white.
Oh, I love that.
Like her
I love
colors
my cats.
matched Tifa's outfit. It was between Tifa or Kyrie when I was gonna name her.
Amazing.
I mean, long story short, to those, obviously you don't know, but like I'm sure other listeners have heard the story before. But my best friend, whose birthday party I'm going to tomorrow,
yeah,
she had a friend that couldn't take Tifa because she already had a lot of cats previously. So,
oh really?
She advertised her, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll take her. So
yeah,
we took her in at around like I want to say 2021.
Yeah,
around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Unexpectedly, I didn't know, and my best friend didn't know. She was pregnant.
Amazing,
and
amazing.
Then,
is usually how it happens.
2022, she gave birth to 5 kittens.
A blessing. The cat distribution.
I kept seeing more come out because I think I was told 3 is the average. I saw a 4th one come out. I was like, Oh no.
This must how they felt in 101 Dalmatians, just like that. Okay, keep it coming, I guess.
So we eventually were able to just give them all away to other homes. I tried to keep
Hmm.
one. It just didn't work out because he would keep me
Yeah,
up all night. I'd go
yeah.
insane. So that one, what was funny, the one I kept, I named Kyrie. Then my best
I love
friend and I looked at him again and was like, "Oh no, it's a boy. It's not a girl." I was like, "Oh, oops." I just shortened his name to Kai. I was like, "There we go."
There you go. There you go. I was
So
like, come in anyway. He doesn't know. It's
he,
fine.
yeah. So he's with a close friend of mine. So I still get to see him every now and then when I go visit them. Um,
Hmm.
so it's been nice, but no, yeah, Chief has been. She's been a lot more affectionate lately, and she'll like just come up on the couch with me and cuddle when I'm
I love that
working
so
from
much.
home or just watching YouTube videos all day. So
I love it. Yeah,
yeah.
we got two failed fosters, we call them, but uh Telbas coworkers brought in because they work in theater, they work in costuming, had brought in these two like 5-week-old kittens that they had found outside their apartment, and like captured one day, and they were covered in fleas, like tiny, could
Ugh.
like fit both of them in one hand, and they already had a cat at home and then a dog that was go cats at their place, and my dog unfortunately is a little tormentor of cats, and so my cat is just pouting on the other side of the room, but she's a sweetheart, because I got her right before COVID, um
Mm.
thinking he would have company, and then he was like, "I wanna be the only child." I'm like, "Well, too bad she's staying." So we got them, but, like, it was every day we were giving them baths in the sink and picking up fleas from their face and just, like, really, like, "Okay, but they're too bonded, we don't wanna separate them," but we didn't give them names for the longest time. We were like, "Orange boy, gray boy," like, move on, like, this is they are do not have names, and then they're the best. And so they do a lot of that where they'll be gaming and I'll be, like, working on the computer, like, editing podcasts or doing something,
Yeah.
working on cosplay shit. So we put anything in the floor to like start cutting fabric and stuff, and the cats will just like plop down in the
Yep.
middle of it. We're like,
Yep.
I know you're doing the cat thing, but like these two are idiots, like no brain cells, would have absolutely been lost in the wilderness. But the funniest, best, like I love them so much. So they just want to like nap. But then we'll have foam poster board out or like foam work that we're doing on like props or something. And one of them will just go over and just start like ripping it with his teeth, like over in the thing and just like spitting it out like popcorn. Like it's literally just like he's going like sunflower seed, like going and just over and over in this poster board. And we're like, what are you doing? You don't even like, you're not even trying to eat it. And you have other stuff you could be doing that with. And he's like, no, this is what you're working with though. So I'm going to sit here
Well, I'm
and
gonna make
start
your life
chewing.
hell.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they're absolute idiots. Like they will end up he goes in the fucking dishwasher if it's open to like steal like any of the little parts of it and just like will try to walk out with it. And then doesn't know what to do with it. He just they're so
Wow.
dumb. I love them so much. They're so dumb. But the sweetest, the absolute sweetest.
Oh wow. Why don't I mean I don't know if you have to get going soon because I'm just like peeking over at the time.
Oh,
Um.
you're good.
All right. So you talked about streaming a bit
Hmm.
before. So like, how has that been overall? Like how long have you been streaming?
It's been close to a year and a half now, I feel like a little less officially. It's something I wanted to do for a very long time. Like I want to make a YouTube like 2010, but again, family, blah blah blah, whatever. I just like didn't.
Yeah.
And then I just felt like it was too late to get into. And then right before COVID hit, I got a place by myself for the first time in LA, which is, hard to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't live in a place that had great, you know, it didn't have a great setup for it, and I didn't have a PC, and I was
Mm-hmm.
doing PlayStation stuff. But then something just hit me. Like I moved to a nicer apartment a little bit into lockdown because it was just like too many issues and stuff. And it was actually like quiet, and I had somewhat stable Wi-Fi, and I got the PS5. I was just like, just do it. Like something in my brain was like, you just got to commit to it. Like this
Yeah.
is it's the same exact thing writing like fake it till you make it, baby. Like you've been wanting to do this, make all your shit and do. So I did. I like made all my like branding and stuff before I started and was like,
Yeah.
here you go. And so I think part of that's the actor thing where it's like we need all this stuff for self tapes. And I know it's like if your audio's bad or the lighting's weird, like people, will skip over the thumbnail kind of thing. And so I think I just like kind of like pulled all my acting shit over and was like, cool, you're not using this right now. Let's set this up.
Right.
And it was insane because I was like doing my MacBook Like I have a MacBook Air and then my PlayStation
Woohoo, same
5, my
here.
TV. And so yeah, and so like I have a PC now, but like when I started I didn't. So I had like a little Elgato capture card, and I would have to
Yeah.
completely like I had an external dock that then I could do that, but it was a travel dock. It only had 2 USB-C ports and 1 USB-A that worked, and then the camera needed this one. Like it was a nightmare to set up every day.
Yeah.
And I would stack it on like my record player and a bunch of other things, and I would like have to like I had tape on my carpet that I can't even get up anymore where
Oh
it's just like
boy.
this is where this ring light goes. This is like I just committed and was like, if you hate it, you don't have to do it. And I'm really lucky that I just have a really, really sincere community. And like some people have been there since like day one, but like I hit affiliate in, less than a month. And it was really
Yeah.
one of those moments where it was like, okay, like this is, I used to work in politics. I used to do I've done a lot of jobs, but it was one of those moments when I got into entertainment. Because I've always been writing. I've been writing since I was a child. Like I've been doing screenplays since 5th grade.
Yeah.
But it was never a viable career for family, right?
Sure.
And I was in politics and I got out because I was like, it will take 8 years, 10 years to get one bill forward. And it's going to be a shell of what it was supposed to be between all this other stuff. And then it may or may not do that, to may or may not be enacted, to may or may not do change. And no one sees all this stuff in there. And I was like, I've been inspired everything I do. I became a rape crisis counselor at 15 and stuff because of, I was obsessed with SVU and Mariska Hargitay, and that was what she did. And like, all these things that like have influenced me through my life where I was like, you make a bigger difference faster by making media. And so go do what you want there, like go follow that passion and that thing of what you're chasing, and your brain of like that I want to feel like I'm helping even just anything, right? Like I don't know what it was. It's like it's entertainment. And I went that way. And so streaming was very much one of those things for me where I think it just hit a lot of those buttons, and gaming unexpectedly when I let myself actually get back into it as an adult and like really again just commit to being a gamer instead of just like I like gaming.
Yeah.
And not gatekeep myself from it for whatever reason. My community has really given me more like satisfaction of that than chasing a lot of different these tiny acting things or play things every day, because I see it in real time. Like I see people, come in, they're like on their lunch break and they want to hang and talk to people, or they want to come and be like, oh my God, Lion, like I just got this thing, or I passed that test, or the date went well. And it's like, I genuinely feel so lucky that a community started so quickly. And so
Yeah.
while we're small and growing, it is a very authentic community. And it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. And it's hard to not be myself, but I'm so relaxed from doing it. Like I laugh all the time about the amount of shit I say that I probably should not, where it's like not even like problematic. It's just like I'm stream of consciousness stalking, and I'll say something and chat will be dragging me. I'm like, I don't even know what I said. And it's probably something inherently me hitting on Moxie or whatever it is, or talking about boobs or whatever. And so it's just no filter. I feel really comfortable with it. And it's been really rewarding. I'm really glad I did it. But it's it's been going good. It's been going good.
It's still been a struggle for me because it's like, I guess I've just been trying to not view it as something where I'm trying to quote unquote like get famous or whatever that
Yeah.
means. Because then I also just have an issue with trying to entertain myself with dead air,
Yeah.
especially when no one shows up to my own streams, and
Yeah.
it can be a little bit demotivating. And then it got to a point where like I would only play video games when I would stream, and it was just like sucking the fun out of it for me.
Yeah.
To a point where
When it starts to feel like a job, it's definitely, yeah.
yeah.
I think it's why so many people really talk about like turning off the numbers, which I think are healthy for a lot of people. If I weren't so, I don't want to say fucked up already from acting, I feel like that would have been really good advice for me. But because it's like my entire 20s were like, you gotta figure out rejection. Like you gotta like go and put yourself out there and do 100 auditions and like not this. And it's like having to market yourself. I'm a social media manager. I've online marketed. Like I've done so many things that no, I need to see my metric. And it's one of those things where I'm able to keep up the energy, because you'll have people in an audition like leave the room to go grab food. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's very, you gotta keep a certain energy about it. And so I feel like a lot of that made it easier, but there are definitely those days that like, really get to you. And I know it's luck, but I know so many people who really, really talk like that. They've been for years. And why I feel so lucky, been for years, like trying to find that right you know, either timing or is it this or like what that together about the community. And I think it's that thing where you're talking about like the, oh, I want to be famous, I want to be known. It's like, well, what's the difference? Like, do you want to be partner for XYZ, or is it what do you want to be famous for if that's the thought of streaming? Like, do you dream of being a big streamer? And
Yeah.
then what does that mean? Like, is it, you know, having people just agree with you and watch what you're doing, or is it the community? Like, what's the intention behind it? What's the note behind the note, basically?
Right.
And so it's, I think, a tug and pull of, you know, when I find myself getting very like, you know, frustrated or just like feeling burned out of like certain things, I'm just like every single time I'm like, oh, I don't want to stream right now, or this, or I don't want to mess up this number or whatever. And then get on, and then I have like, I'm always glad I did it because there's just like the people that, you know, you are building a community for. That is now the place that they think is safe to come hang out and like talk and stuff, and you know, be able to be themselves and explore new games. Like, I love when people come back and are like, okay, I finally replayed this game you've been yelling about. It's great, like whatever. And so eventually I'm going to branch out into more games, but that's really scary because I get it. It's a lot of the, if I start playing, you know, all of these games I want to play or this, or like suddenly would I have no viewership, and then what's that momentum
Yeah.
going for? And so there's a lot of pressure I think we have to put on ourselves as content creators. But it's
That's
a
true.
it's a decision to repeatedly do it. Like, I know I'm not nearly as consistent as I need to be for the plans I have, and a lot of that just having to work a full-time job, and
Same.
we all have to figure out how to pay rent at one point. But
Yeah.
trying to give grace to yourself with it, because it just so many, if I'm not having fun with it, something's wrong. And those are probably the days my views are lower, when I'm not having fun with it. You know what I mean? And so the moment you feel yourself getting like frustrated about it, it's okay. What did I like about this in the first place? Score one and
Yeah.
rebuild.
Because I honestly think for me it was because I was streaming at the time. I finally got talked into playing Baldur's Gate 3, and
Nice.
someone who had never played a D&D game in his life.
Yeah.
I understand they meant well, but I was having some people tell me that I was playing the game completely wrong, because I
Yeah.
was
No.
focused on how do I beat this the fastest way possible, when that's not how
Yeah.
that works. It's
Yeah.
not how D&D works. You're supposed to explore, and like I'm hearing all these things that people are doing, all these crazy, wacky shit in boss fights, where
Yeah.
you sing your way and like you kill 60 people. It's like I didn't get that, so it was at a point where like I just stopped streaming and was just playing it on my own time.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, I added in like the podcasting to this
Yeah.
to Twitch stream to give me more variety on like stuff to do. So I'm
Hmm.
hoping that I finally caved. Well, I mean, I was gonna get it anyway, but I bought Spider-Man 2. I'm hoping that I
Yeah.
can start streaming that. Because when I stream PS5 games, I do it directly off the console. Cause apparently you can do that. So like,
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah. You can't do like the OBS setup with stuff, but if you're not worried about it, then yeah, it's great for streaming straight from the console.
I tried hooking it up to my laptop, which is how I used to stream Switch games because I have the
Yeah.
Elgato capture card and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But and I mean, this was my biggest mistake in like just not being patient. So
Hmm.
I unfortunately probably know most of the plot twists in Spider-Man 2 already from watching too many goddamn Let's Plays.
Yeah, I won't let me go into people's streams. Like, I'm like, I love you, I'll raid you. I'm not staying because it's trying to like, yeah.
Yeah, so that was my mistake with watching too many YouTube videos. But I think regardless, though, I think I still am hoping to have a good time with it because
I bet you will. I bet you
yeah.
will.
So that
I
is
mean, playing a game is always an experience for me. Like, it's even spoiled. Like, some games really will just, being able to be immersed in it feels totally different, or I'll forget about it. And I've seen like one spoiler that was like kind of tagged as spoiler, but not on Twitter. And I was scrolling and I just like saw it, and it was just enough context clues, and I was like, I'm hoping I forget that by the time I sit down to play. I'm like, let me just go, or
yeah.
maybe I'm wrong, and it's things like that. But it's still fun. Like, Last of Us 2 was spoiled for me, unfortunately, but it
Yeah.
still hit. You know, like, it was still very mind blowing game for me.
I actually even think I watched a Let's Play of Spider-Man 2018 before I finally got around to playing the game. I still had a blast with it.
Oh, it
And
was a
was one that
blast. That game made me cry. It's
Yeah.
great.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I mean, I've already got a set date time frame to when I want to go back into gaming on stream. So
Yeah.
it's
That's
that.
exciting. That's really exciting.
It's that, and then as of this point in time, 7 Rebirth, the next game on my
Nice.
list. So
Nice.
I was so shocked that it's coming out sooner than everyone thought it would.
Oh, that's me with so many. We are in so many games right now. We have so many great things coming out. Like I really, if you don't do horror, like no, but Alan Wake 2 I've been waiting for years and years and years. And I'm like, what do you mean everything is coming out at once now? I need this. No, space this out more. I need more time.
I am inclined to agree with everyone saying that this is probably one of the greatest years of gaming in terms of the
Yeah.
types of games that have been coming out this year. Like it's just been nuts.
One of the worst for the industry. Like so many layoffs and so much shit, but one of the best for release games. And so it's like such a weird celebration, but like mourning at the same time. It's so weird.
Like every week
but like Phantom Liberty, Cyberpunk may be my like adaptation one. I may take that back. Cyberpunk may be the one that I think would be best. But Phantom Liberty was an absolute love letter to everything Cyberpunk ever could and would be, and fantastic, and so incredibly well done that I think just anything, the hype for everything coming out after that being just as satisfying. Oh my God, when's the last time we had something like that?
Yeah.
Like it's amazing.
Yeah, I honestly think sadly that like while I didn't enjoy Tears of the Kingdom, it didn't hit me as hard as Breath of the Wild did.
See, I've not played it yet. I only just got a Switch in December, and so I got it for trying out some of the 2K ports. And I haven't gone around to playing it, and I've seen a little bit of spoilers, but I've heard similar. But I also just have people who really hyper fixated on Tears of the Kingdom and played like every single ounce and speck of content possible in it. And so I don't know. I think it's also just one of those things, experiencing something like that for the first time. Like Breath of the Wild was such a like just new experience that yeah, it was breath of fresh air. That I think anything following that like feels, you're always going to be comparing it a little bit. And that's why I'm so excited about Spider-Man 2, hearing that it's better in every conceivable way than 1, because 1 was like that, where it was such a new experience that it's really hard to not look back and compare.
Yeah, that's pretty much my whole shtick with streaming. I mean, I want to, because I think the thing for me that I would love to have, and like I do kind of have it already, like being so ingrained in the cosplay world for as long as I have been, with like either whether doing this or when I was originally blogging about cosplay for several years. It's like, I mean, I go into other streamers that I admire or follow, and like the sense of community that they've been able to build has been really amazing, and that's just, I guess that's just something I'd like to have one day, like whenever I go on my own streams and play games. So that's still been a little bit of a struggle for me, but
I think for me, I mean, it's helpful to unfortunately play the same game a lot, is always helpful for me. I think one thing that I love about all my favorite streamers, and then I'm always just relieved when I hear it from people in my own chat when I say it, but they're like, you just feel very much like it's you. Like you offline, you online. Like, yeah, it's a different energy level sometimes and things like that, but it's very like, if you're not trying to be something or trying to get something out of people, like people stay. And some of my favorite like smaller streamers I find versus bigger streamers, like watching them grow, YouTubers, things like that, have been very much like they were at their peak for me, or are at their peak for me, when they feel very much like they're just giving us who they are and that little piece of connection. And so it's always jarring for me when I go into smaller, I say smaller, but like just like if I'm rating someone who's just lower in the directory at the moment, and I'll get like messages sometimes just like, oh my God, like thank you so much, like this is amazing, this like made everything. And I'm like, to have that impact on like my little small community to come over and bring that chaos over is, I won't take that for granted ever. Like I love that my chat had a reputation at TwitchCon, where I would say something like, yeah, my chat, so they're a little weird, and people would be like, your chat's fucking weird. Like they can just like do whatever. And I'm like, yeah, they drag me, I drag them. It's not like one of those like, ooh, super soft feel good, but like my one rule is just to fucking respect each other. Like we can be an asshole to like, you know, friends, make jokes and do stuff like that, but like having the ability to genuinely feel like we can be friendly and like have that mask off a little bit. Because I think for me, as a lot of like lockdown, I didn't realize how much I was like masking in public, like at all. Like I thought I loved people, I thought I did whatever, and then forced to be alone for several months, you're kind of like, oh, let me evaluate who I am as a person. And I didn't realize how comfortable I have to be able to just like be myself. And knowing that just me doing that more, and that's all I'm doing, like it's just I can only be me, is what built that, is really, one, humbling, but two, also way better than any acting thing I've ever done, where you're always having to like figure out what people want from you. Like it's always like, okay, cool, like what does this headshot look like, what do I do? Like anything I've ever been successful in has been me just being like, this is exactly what I am, here you go. And it's really hard to let go of the concept of, you know, what's my expectation for this. And so it's like, even like goal setting with like acting, it's like you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna have 30 auditions this month, because you're like, you have no control over that. You can't control if someone clicks on your stream. You cannot control if you get an audition. You cannot control if you get booked. Everything is out of your control. And, you know, regulars don't show up because they have work or they watch them. Like, things happen. And you have to, like, not let it be personal. And that's such a hard thing to do on the internet, where everyone is forced to be a content creator now.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
I still get shit where I'm just like, cool, that's going to be in my head for 3 days. And it's like one of those things where it should roll off the back, but some things just stick. But no, I totally think you got it. You're passionate about what you talk about, and I think that's absolutely gonna just, when you find the game that makes you excited, do it. I think if anyone enjoys streaming, they absolutely should try it out. Like it's not a competition, you know? I think a lot of people kind of view it as that, and it's more just people coming up together.
Yeah.
Like, we're all nerds on the internet. We're all playing video games, you're talking about nerdy shit. Like,
pretty much.
That's it. It's great.
Anything else about TwitchCon you want to mention or chat about? Anything else that kind of struck you during the con when you were there?
I think it was this is like a weird one to go to, but like there was a real lack of stuff for gamers there, except like a few things. Like Elgato was there, and then we had some charities and stuff, which it's always great having a little row, but it was still just like everything was kind of hidden from that. And so we had like Chevy and we had like Ford and stuff, and so I hope to see more like where was the AMD and stuff like that, you know, like something a little bit more. I think I'm spoiled by PAX. Something a little bit more like conversational gaming. However, the thing that made that cool was that you really got to experience a lot of these, like the very few, like this is a demo, this is our project, this is our product. Like you really got to experience those in a very intimate way, which I think is really cool. And I haven't done another con. Like I was lucky that my first PAX West, I was in the Omegathon. And so I like went to like the hall early and got to like see everything and like everything. And it was blowing my mind, the idea that's like, oh my God, wait, the maker of Mortuary Assistant is literally right here standing next to me while I play it. And I can like talk to them. And so having those little tiny experiences at TwitchCon are really great. Like Beacon mics, it's actually the mic I'm using now, are there. So I know them from PAX West and stuff. And so I went up and was just like hanging out with them and getting to see, like I got to show the system to one of my streamer friends, and he's like killing it over there. But we talk all the time about like OBS audio stuff, right? And like to go over and be able to like geek out at like, okay, but you get to delete your audio sources, and then it's this, and it's all like, you know, that thing. Like we were just excited to geek out about stuff. And I can't talk about that in my daily life. Like no one gives a shit if I'm like, yeah, let me tell you, I was fighting with an OBS update today. Have you gone into sound alerts lately? Like that's not a human real life conversation, right? And so being able to like have those things, I felt like it was unique at TwitchCon versus like having those conversations at PAX or something, because it's still, or even like SDCC and, you know, the smaller ones, like it was a very like, we know what we're all here for and what we're doing. So there was this shared understanding of like, you know, yes, this is a business, but yes, it's fun, and yes, it's game. And seeing the mix of like community there, and is like there's a community line, affiliates line, partner line, media line to get your badge, right? And one of my favorite things was, as tired as I was coming from the airport to pick up my badge, I go get in the affiliate line to pick up my stuff, and I'm in there for just like a couple minutes. It's moving fast. It's pretty slow line, or pretty empty line, because I got there like a little bit before opening, so most people done it the day before. And I look over just in passing, and about 50 yards away in the community line, it was someone who had already picked up their badge and were there with another friend who I had never spoken to in my life, but I'd seen at every fucking con. Like we saw each other at PAX West 2 years ago all the time. and I recognized him from his mohawk. He has this like massive, like beautiful, like sculpted mohawk, and he had found my Ellie cosplay on Instagram like right after PAX West that year, and was just like, oh, great cosplay. And I was like, oh my god, it's the mohawk guy. And I commented, and I was like, dude, I saw you everywhere. And he was like, no, you were Jack, you were Ellie, you were Bioshock. I'm like, yeah, that was me. And so he followed me, and because no idea why, but we never spoke, but we kept like seeing each other random places. And I look over, half asleep, in line. I had 2 hours of sleep, running on a 5 a.m. monster to catch this 30-minute flight. Look over, and I see him, and I kind of go, and he's like, and it's just like we move on, nothing, but we're just like, how the fuck, and like, how did we see this? And so we kept running into each other. And then at the fucking HyperX party, that was like an invite only party, like no idea. He walks in while I'm sitting there eating food, and he's there with his friends. And I finally go over and I snap a photo with him because I was just like, we're talking, like this is insane. Like it was one of those moments where it was like, he was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get my friend into streaming, and we were coming here, and like it was so fun. And I'm like, those kind of moments only happen at cons like this. And so the fact that it was TwitchCon that like made me talk, it's like, I think that's the pinnacle for me, where it's like, if I'm wanting to put like a bow on like, what's the moral of the story? It's about community. Like, I've never spoken to this guy in my life. I've been mutuals with him for 2 years, and we see each other in the sea of people. There were so many people, like directly in separate lines of each other, but like directly in line out of nowhere. I wasn't in cosplay. He's never seen me out of cosplay. Like, it just wasn't, we should not have run into each other. And so it was like little moments like that where it just like feels so like validating that it's a place that you can just do shit like that. Like, you can have those experiences, and like, you're not gonna run into that like in 7-Eleven one day, you know?
No.
And so of all the cons gone to, I would put it much higher on my list than I thought I would. And so I guess final thoughts on it, just mostly I see where it is next year, but I really hope more people are open to going to it, even if it's like community or, you know, whatever level you are at it, if you don't stream, if you mod, because I feel like the more people go to it, the more the con evolves. I think the reason it had so much love this year is because the people who went because they wanted a specific experience after last year, right? And it was really crafted for that. And I feel like the more like mods go, maybe there's like mod stuff and things like that, and it just becomes that place where it doesn't matter about the panels. Like, the panels are great, and the costumes are great, and the parties, whatever, but it's like the affiliate bag was so dumb. I'm sorry, Twitch, it was really dumb. It's like keycaps that don't even fit your keyboard. Like, they're just literally.
I heard that from another podcast that I wasn't doing. It was like those fucking keycaps. It was like, oh. Huh.
It's keycaps with the wrong key switches for most boards, and so I'm like, they don't even fit the space bars too long. And I was like, well, just swap out the escape key or something. It's not even the same. I can't even use it, and it doesn't even like fit over. And I'm just like, there was that, and then the goodie bag you get when you get your badge was like a bag of like kind of coupons, but mostly just ads, and then shoelaces. We had Twitch branded shoelaces, and I'm like, I got better swag from a PAX party that Twitch happened to be at that had like a Twitch branded Sharpie in it and chapstick, and I was like, hell yeah, this is the best. And I'm like, shoelaces, like, you can't even throw in hand sanitizer or something, like shoelaces, don't give us a bag. I'm so grateful, but I'm just like, it was so weird where I was like, no one's going for stuff like that, you know? Like, it's not the status symbol, it's not as scary as people make it out to be. It's not like, oh, if you're not a partner, no one's gonna talk to you. It's truly just go with the flow and find an anchor group. And I think it has a potential to really form into one of those cons that are really community driven. And for being a thing owned by Amazon and having all this stuff, I think that's a really rare thing. But I have a lot of high hopes for it, especially since it's going to get like a at least semi-permanent home for the next 3 years, wherever it ends up. So it has that time to really develop that kind of thing and that kind of lore around it. Like the thing with PAX where it's like, you'll find people who go there every year. Like, everyone goes to this one bar that's not actually an official thing. And, you know, like, it's just, you know, when cons can really get that kind of personality to them because they're not constantly trying to like be something new and exciting. And so it's first time I think I saw a lot of people leaving hopeful. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think more people should definitely find a little group to go, even if it's just for like a day or two. And really just experience being around people who are just nerding out about the same shit. With no judgment.
Yeah.
I just love cons though, so I'm biased.
No, I mean, I do too. I mean, I at some point I just want to go out and just go to one West Coast con to see what it's like.
Yeah. You totally should. They're really cool. SDCC I would not right now. Not that the tickets are easy to get, but they're just so boring right now. It's like all Disney, Paramount, here's a slate. Like, it's missing the heart of what it used to be. Like, it's no longer like people talking about the thing they're on panels and all this stuff. It's just very corporate right now. And so as much as I love San Diego, it's a little underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I wasn't already booked to go to Disney World next year, I'd look into it. But I mean, like, you can only take so many vacation days out of your real job, so.
No, for sure. Oh God, imagine having vacation days. Imagine a job, a big boy job. No, contractor life, baby. No, Florida has some great cons though, but yeah, I mean, if you ever go to Disneyland, if you're going out there ever, Anaheim has great. WonderCon is a way less underwhelming con. It seems very comic focused on the outside, but the cosplay scene there is incredible, and it's where I've really gotten to shoot with some really like famous cosplay photographers and stuff, and like Mineral Blue ended up in like one of his videos, and I was like, when did this happen? I was like, oh my god, that was WonderCon. Oh my god, my makeup was so bad that day. Like, it's just one of those things where the photographers I've really made friends with through the years have been like, I'm so excited to see them at WonderCon. And like ALA will run into each other, but it's like things where you make eye contact. But there's a couple that we get so excited to see each other because it is like tradition now at that point. And you don't even need a badge. You can literally just lobby con outside the convention center if that's what you want to do and stay in one of the hotels, and it's right by Disney, and it's right around the time Disney does their concept. But it's just such a cosplay heavy con that I feel like I need to bring my A game for every year of all the cons. Like, it's weird that WonderCon's that one, but yeah, it's great. I mean, there are a lot of ones in SoCal, but I would say that's definitely, I think, one of the highlights.
Okay.
Emerald City too. Emerald City, I was here good about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I really enjoyed this little chat.
No, same. Thank you so much for having me.
Nice. Yeah. No, I don't know. I guess I just needed that. Thanks for that advice.
Yeah.
The whole stream.
Oh my god, of course. It's not give unsolicited anything ever. Ignore. But no, I'm always happy to talk about it. I totally get it. And again, I think it's the actor in me of like putting yourself out there for several decades at this point, where you're just like,
yeah,
picking out, like, you're always told what you're not doing right, and I feel like it's very helpful to find the ways around that, because I don't think that's true. I think people mean well when they do a lot of stuff, but you could Google the same thing 1,000 times, and I think we all, no matter the size, have that thought. Like, I've talked to people who have thousands of viewers who absolutely have the same exact thought process, and it's just I'm always happy to talk about. Social media manager me will pop off every time. But no, this has been a great chat. I love it. I love talking cosplay shit. I never get to talk cosplay shit, so thank you. But I love being a nerd and talking about shit.
All the lore. I mean, I wasn't expecting you to be big into Kingdom Hearts, so that was nice.
I'm telling you, when my bio says I am a whore for video game lore, I mean it. Like, I am. If there's a game, I will find lore in it. I love Pac-Man. I'm competitive about Pac-Man, and I'm a purist about Pac-Man. And I swear to God, I will sit there and have a conversation about the different little ghosts. And I just moved my Pac-Man light over here, so that's really funny. But like, games that people are like, how are you finding lore in this DVD? I got attached to the lore on. Like, it just doesn't, and it doesn't exist. You have to dig for it, and it's not in the game at all. And I found it, baby. I found it. So I get it. I'm always, Kingdom Hearts was one of my first loves. It's always gonna have a special spot for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was my gateway drug into Final Fantasy, and then I've just been.
Yeah, PlayStation in general, since I had a lot of those little overlaps of stuff, but yeah, Kingdom Hearts was, I think, just because I always grew up a Disney kid, and it was like very like that was there, and I don't think my mom even realized like there was more lore to anything. So she still probably could pick up Kingdom Hearts stuff from a thing, but it was always like we go to Disney and be like freaking out that they had like any Keyblade merch or like anything at all. I'd be like, oh my god. It's here. This is here. It's like the first thing you find. Like, you see it in a Target. She's like, what is that? I'm like,
oh my god.
You don't understand.
When I tell you that I lost my shit, went to Disney World one year, and the only Kingdom Hearts merch I found was a pen of Mickey in the Organization 13 quote. I lost my goddamn mind. I was like, what the fuck?
I have a talent. It's a curse a little bit, but if I'm in an artist alley or a type of like on hall or any type of big like vendor hall, Disneyland kind of stuff, where it's just like a lot of shops and a lot of little things, I will just inherently sniff out where a single tiny little scrap of merch for what I'm hyperfixated on is going to be. Like, we will be walking down Artist Alley doing shit, nothing, and I will literally not even see anything. I'll stop, turn around, be like, that booth over there, Borderlands, and I just go and I'll find like a little pin in like a box. Like, I don't know what it is. So like Kingdom Hearts stuff, that was one of the only things I saw at TwitchCon, ironically, but it was like a few like pixel art I'd seen before and stuff, but nothing at a different con, but nothing massive, but like I was just able to be clocking like, okay, that's Genshin, that's this, that's that, whatever, and just like not spend a lot of time there. And I love spending time and I love buying things. I like the dopamine rush. And so I really love Artist Alley and all these little things.
Yeah.
But Disney kills me every time where I'm like, I will find the one piece of merch they have in here for Emperor's New Groove. That is what I want to find right now. And I will tear apart this place till I find it, and I will find it. And it'll be in passing as I go get an ice cream or something and be like, wait, it's here. Like, I get a spidey sense. It's a problem. It's a capitalistic spidey sense for buying things I don't need. But it's great. Basically, I'm one of those hounds. I'm a drug hound, but for merchandise.
For weird merchandise that you are
For weird merchandise that is from very niche. Yeah, to bring it all together, the niche shit. But yeah, it is one day going to be helpful. Maybe, I don't know. It's helpful when I'm looking for presents for people, and that's about it.
Yeah. God, Emperor's New Groove is such a good movie.
It's such a good movie.
I watched it maybe a couple months ago. It's like so fucking good.
It's so good, and it never misses. Like every time I've ever watched it through the years, it is still funny.
Yeah.
And that is so rare. Like it is genuinely a fantastic movie. I will fight people on that. Underrated as hell. So good.
Llama
So
Sora. Imagine that.
Right.
Yes, if only. No.
Oh, please.
On that note, if people want to go find where the hell you are, where do they go?
Easiest thing would be speakinglion.card.co with 2 R's kind of thing. But I'm Speaking Lion everywhere except Twitter, which is Speaking Lions with an S, because some old dude that hasn't used Twitter since 2009 named Clive has Speaking Lion for whatever reason, and I can't get it. Twitter's the one place that is different.
I feel like I hear that a lot. Like other content creator friends of mine were like, the reason why I have a weird underscore is because someone has the original name.
Infuriating. Especially because I never had a consistent username through the years, because I was just always like, I was on AIM and then I make a separate, like it just wasn't like a thing. And it always have some variation of my name. And Speaking Line is such a specific, like I've used it for my production company. It's like an inside joke from like my sister years and years and years ago. And so it's such like a thing that I was like, I finally have something I don't have to worry about being taken anywhere. And then this old fucker that's not even maybe a real person sitting on the same, I'm like, give me the handle. I have an LLC filed, fucker. Like it's mine. But like my social media brain can't handle it, because then I know, what goes into like claiming it. And so many of those things shut down with COVID because they just got understaffed. And now I'm sitting here pouting about it, where I'm like, I want it. But yeah, so I'm Speaking Lions with an S on Twitter, and I'm not bitter at all. But everywhere else, it's just Speaking Lion. And then podcast is DLC required on all the things.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Go check it out. Blue Lightning cost pretty much everywhere. Even Threads, even Blue Sky, even though I barely ever use it.
I never use Blue Sky, but I have it. Threads will be the one that wins in the end.
I want Musk to start charging people so that everyone gets the fuck out, because no one's gonna leave. No one's gonna
leave. I won't leave. I still wake up and check Twitter first, and I fucking hate what it is right now. And I'm like,
my phone, but I still check it every day on my laptop.
Yeah, I can't. It's just always my mindless like scroll right now, and I'm like, he needs to leave and we need to fix this, or we all need to actually pick a place and migrate, because we're never gonna fucking leave. So no one, like Pebble just shut down, which used to be T2. Like no one is ever gonna actually get the traction to be where we move to if it doesn't happen. And so everyone keeps saying I'm leaving Twitter, and then they don't. But like there's no community on Blue Sky, there's no community on Threads. You can't, like, Threads will be the one that has the money to win, and Blue Sky I think it was too slow with its exclusivity that it just missed the hype of it, and it also just doesn't have a personality really. And I feel like yeah, it's just either he's gonna finally let someone else have reins and stop doing dumb shit, and people will just commit and stay and no longer will have competitors, or everyone's gonna move to Threads. And I need it to happen so I can
please.
Yeah.
Hive never caught on. Vero never caught on.
No, that's the thing. There's so many, like, that's a running joke on social media. So where it's like Lemon8, like Hive, like it just like Mastodon, like it's just so fucking many of them, where I'm just like, this isn't, you're not gonna reinvent the wheel here. Like we know what we're doing, we know what we're looking for, and until everyone migrates, the communities are here. We're not leaving, and it sucks.
Sucks.
It sucks.
I'm hoping, I am fingers crossing I can get my ideal dream guest for the next episode, because this is episode 99. I think it's gonna hit the
That's so
milestone
exciting.
by the end of the year.
Dude,
Like
that's
I
so
wanted.
impressive.
What?
It is so impressive to keep up a podcast for that long. Like that's so many of the things you see that like so many people burn out so early on. That's a lot of fucking episodes. That's a huge deal.
Thank
Like
you.
congrats.
No,
That's a big fucking
other
deal.
people said the same thing. It's like, cause like, you know, I told them like also like, you know, I've gotten media passes to PAX East through
Oh
my
yeah.
podcast, so it's like, I'm never not gonna say no to validation that what I do is important or that
Yeah.
I put a lot of effort into this. So
No, podcast, dude, it takes so much fucking effort. I keep like scheduling guests, like whatever, and then because time zones, it's just like things move, and then I have to like I'm
yeah,
trying to get like a bulk recorded for like through the end of the year, but like the keep up of it is a choice, and it's same as we talked about streaming. Like that is so many people can't do that. That is fucking insane. 99 episodes. That's so exciting.
yeah. So I'm hoping I can get Jessica Negri. I'm hoping.
Fingers
Because
crossed for you.
she,
Fingers.
because
I'll vouch if you need.
she is essentially the
Not that I have
reason.
any weight.
She's the reason why this exists. Because I got into cosplay because of her.
That's
Because of
amazing.
obsessing over her with her sexy Pikachu. Literally, the first con I went to, PAX East 2012, it was when she was on her Lollipop Chainsaw tour. And I
Amazing.
went specifically to meet her. And she knew who I was from like back when she had a website and all
Oh,
this
that's amazing.
fun stuff. So
You're an OG.
yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I'm crossing all my fingers for you. Like literally, that would be so exciting. And like again, that's just the
And,
most
like,
full circle moment you can have.
Her Yaya Han would be like, that'd be rad.
Yeah, I got a good feeling. I got a good feeling. I'm sending you all the good vibes, but you're keep me posted. I'm curious. I'll definitely listen regardless. But that's so
Aww.
exciting.
Yeah, but yeah, again, you're amazing. I'm glad we got to
Thanks.
connect and like finally like I feel bad that we haven't talked at all. Even though
I feel like that was so
following
many of my
each other.
mutuals. It's like I feel like we already know each other, and then I realized, oh wait, we've never. That was Jesslyn when we saw each other in person a couple years ago. We were like, have we never met? And okay, and it's just like one of those things where
Yeah.
that's the nature of it. But no, I so appreciate you inviting me on, and yeah, getting to chat and just be a human for a bit.
Yeah, you're welcome. And
Thank you.
yeah, you're definitely welcome to come back on anytime. If any other
Thanks.
cons happen around your area that I'd love to get an insight on, like if any other con that I've never really covered
Oh,
before.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, let me know. We're going to the couple more this year, and then Ailey will be our first next, but I'm working on our list for next year. So I'm hoping we get out to East Coast. Budget dependent because it's like, sponsors for cons are, ideal, but like otherwise it's everything out of pocket. And so
Yeah.
working on East and KatsuCon and some Colossal cons and stuff like that.
Really?
So we really want to do PAX East next year. Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal. It's PAX East and then Katsu and at least
I
one
owe you a
Colossal.
hug if you get out there because that is a definite con for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's the travel and everything else because yeah, we'll apply for media passes and like stuff like that. But like it's just like it's the coordination of going and also when it falls because that one actually moves states. Like a couple years ago it was on my birthday and now it's like March and like whatever. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yep.
So
It does.
it's hard to plan in advance to be like, I'm just gonna sneak and book a hotel like you came for PAX West.
Yeah, I'm just anxiously waiting for those dates to drop. Cause I imagine they'll drop the dates after Unplugged, which is in early December, I believe.
Yeah, it's about that's usually about I feel like the cycle of when they've been announcing. But yeah, we have as long as they don't conflict, like we're looking at GDC this year and some stuff like that. So as long as they don't conflict with any like commitments we have, it's absolutely gonna be first priority. But would love to hit up some of the more fun stuff out East Coast we don't get to see. Which is sad that we always miss Dragon Con because it's the exact same weekend as PAX West, but that has our heart, so that's where we're at.
Well, before we accidentally rant into something else, we're gonna end.
Yeah, and I was like, we're gonna keep talking about cons. It's fine.
Yeah.
So no, again, thank you so much. Yeah, let me know whenever. But I'm fingers crossed for you. That's so exciting. Congrats on 100 episodes.
Yeah, thank you. So, all right, thank you guys for tuning into the stream, and for those of you listening to the audio version at some point, just thanks.